Nike has been on an incredible run this year, especially in the second half, releasing some of the most comfortable shoes money can buy. So today I'm ranking the top 10 most comfortable Nike sneakers. And if you want to check out any of these shoes yourself, I'll leave all of the links for each one down in the description. Feel free to check it out. Coming in at number 10, the Nike Journey Run. These retail for a very reasonable $90, especially considering how well made and comfortable they are. Unfortunately, they kind of flew under the radar for most people because they're not a flagship that gets a ton of promotion. But honestly, this is one of the most impressive sneakers that Nike offers at this price point. For cushioning underfoot, Nike added a very soft foam called Comfy Ride. It feels great, especially for all-day wear casually. They fit true to size, so that's what I'm going to recommend for anybody interested. And the upper is decently breathable and overall feels pretty nice, but my favorite part has to be the decent amount of ankle padding that you get on these. And that in combination with the midsole makes these things super comfortable. Overall, this shoe feels a lot more expensive than it is. Trust me, I have tried so many, pretty much all of Nike's affordable sneakers, and a lot of them just feel kind of plasticky and not very comfortable, so these are a real outlier. Coming in at number 9, the good old faithful Nike Vomero 5. For a hot minute, these things used to be the most comfortable shoe that Nike offered. It's actually kind of Nike's flagship retro runner style. They debuted back in 2010 and since then have had a ton of different collaborations, but specifically have seen a major resurgence here now that that style is so popular. Now, these retail for $170, which in my opinion is a bit steep, but hey, they are popular for a reason. They offer incredible comfort and a ton of different colorways, collaborations, and even different versions. Now, obviously, these are not going to be your max cushion shoes. They feel very reminiscent of a lot of other different retro runner styles that are on the market. However, for everyday comfort, stepping out the door, throwing these things on, I think you'll be completely fine, and I think you'll love them. For sizing on these, again, true to size, they've got a decent amount of room around the toe box. It's not super narrow or anything like that, so that's what I recommend. Coming in at number 8, another affordable option, the Nike Uplift SC. Now, these retail for a staggeringly low $65, and that's at full price when you can't find them on sale for under $50. So the value proposition with these is incredible. If you're on a budget and wanted to add like an additional shoe to the rotation, or just, wanted something to beat down as a daily sneaker, these are great. Now, they are relatively new, only launched earlier this year, so there's not that many different colorways to choose from, but the ones that they do have are pretty solid. Now, obviously, because of the price point, you're not getting a ton of bells and whistles. Nike hasn't named every single material on this pair of shoes, so I don't even think they specify like what the cushioning is, but it's soft, cushioned, and feels great. The upper is made from some kind of textile woven material, decent amount of padding around the ankle, and just overall, I think these things look really good. And again, for sizing, these fit true to size. You're gonna hear that a lot during this video. Nike seems to be pretty consistent when it comes to sizing and not changing from model to model. Taking the number 7 spot, we got the Nike Pegasus 41. The Pegasus line from Nike for years has been the go-to hybrid sneaker for a ton of people. It's been incredibly popular for its affordability and great running performance, and of course, an extremely comfortable everyday wearer. Now, this year with Nike's new lineup, they also added a Pegasus Plus. And I don't want to say that that shoe is underwhelming, but I do think it's more the fact that the Pegasus 41 is so good. So it kind of puts the Plus and these at almost the exact same level. So in terms of comfort, I don't think there's much in it, so I'm just going to combine them both and put them at the exact same spot, number 7. But if I had to personally pick one, I'm taking the Pegasus 41 any day, especially with that price decrease. The cushioning on these is made entirely out of ReactX foam, which feels incredible. It offers like a squishy, super soft feel, but combined with a lot of stability as well. I think the Pegasus 41, visually speaking, is one of the best in a very long time. I think this pair of shoes is kind of perfect for someone who recreationally runs or casually runs, and then also wants something that they can use as a daily walk around pair of shoes. Again, sizing, these fit true to size. That's what I recommend. Taking the number 6 spot, the new kid on the block, the Nike Ava Rover. I've often described this pair of shoes as the Pegasus 41, but specifically made for comfort and lifestyle wear. They're similar in the fact that they have the exact same cushioning, ReactX. However, I believe the composition of the ReactX on the Ava Rover is just slightly softer and squishier. That makes a lot of sense because these are intended to be worn casually, whereas the Pegasus needs a little bit more responsiveness and reactiveness for running. And with the Ava Rover, you also get a slightly thicker stack as well. Overall, it just feels incredible underfoot. Now, the upper on these things is pretty interesting. It's kind of like a woven nylon material, but then it also has some rubber material extending onto the upper, which kind of blends with the midsole. So design-wise, size, it looks really cool. I do also think that that rubber adds a little bit of stability. Without it, it would just kind of feel super loose. But overall, the upper is super soft, so you don't have anything digging into your foot or anything like that when you're walking around, and the overall experience wearing these things is great. Now, as for sizing, I would still recommend staying true to size with these. However, they are slightly more narrow, so if you have a wider foot or just like to have a little bit of extra space, I would potentially recommend going a half size up. Taking the number 5 spot, one of the most controversial Nike sneakers, the Pegasus Premium. Now, aside from insane comfort, I just think this is one of the coolest sneakers that Nike has released this entire year. They engineered these things really well. They packed in all of their flagship cushioning technologies, which just feels insane on feet. The massive 45mm stack that you have under there is comprised of their 3 flagship cushioning technologies. You've got React X at the base for extra stability. Sandwiched in the middle is a full-length Zoom Air unit, which has little strings inside attached to the top and bottom of the pod. So when you step, they relax, and as you step off, they snap back into place, causing a little bit of tension and extra responsiveness. And finally, on the top, full-length Zoom X, obviously Nike's softest foam ever. Now, the controversy starts with the retail price of these things being $220. So yes, that makes them very pricey. But also, they position this sneaker as a running shoe, and then a lot of runners were like, oh, it's too bulky and heavy. So I think at the end of the day, most people buying this pair of shoes are people just wearing them casually. But that kind of makes a lot of sense. It's a little bit more reminiscent to some of those older Nike designs that used to have full-length zoom in the midsole. I think these do feel incredible as a daily sneaker, especially because they don't have an aggressive rocker shape like some of the other shoes, which, you know, for standing around can feel better. Now, for sizing, I think it's a little bit tricky because this pair of shoes is slightly narrow, but it's also relatively long. So if I say half size up, you might have a little bit of extra room in the top. So I do recommend staying true to size with the Pegasus Premium and just be aware that it is slightly narrow. Coming in at number 4, this one is insane. So actually get ready. The Nike Vomero Premium. This is an insane pair of sneakers by so many different metrics. It's the tallest stack height Nike has ever made on a pair of sneakers, making these things actually illegal by marathon running standards. The legal limit is strictly 40mm, and these blow past that with a staggering 55.5mm stack height. The midsole is comprised of Zoom X, and they also shoved 2 Zoom Air units right in the midsole. The exact same thing that we talked about with the Pegasus Premium. And what I will say is that this is the softest shoe I have ever put on my feet. It's actually pretty shocking when you first step in there and you feel this insane softness. It's shocking. Now, because of that, it does make them less appealing from a casual everyday wear perspective. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't wear them casually. I do actually think that there's plenty of different scenarios where someone would want a pair of shoes like this with max cushioning. I mean, Nike CEO seems to absolutely love these things as daily wearers. So I can see someone who wants the softest experience underfoot. Maybe you're standing around for a long period of time or commuting to work and having to walk a lot. But as like an everyday sneaker for multiple different tasks, I think there's other shoes on this list with a smaller, not so soft stack height that you might prefer. Now, price point on these, even a little bit more painful than the Pegasus Premium, coming in at $230. And with all of this combined, I do think that they're definitely a lot better or finely tuned to running than they are casual wear, even if they're technically illegal. But yeah, recovery runs, recreational runs, training, stuff like that, these perform great. And definitely one of the most unique experiences I've had with sneakers. Oh yeah, emphasizing these fit true to size or exactly the same as the entire Vomero line from Nike, so if you've tried any of that, it's the same. Right, we're into the top 3 now. Coming in at number 3, we got the Nike V5 Runner. One of my favorite sneakers of the entire year. And in my opinion, one of the most compelling offerings that Nike has from a price point to utility ratio. They retail for $90 and you get incredible comfort. And of course, a really good looking pair of shoes. It's by far the best retro runner style that Nike offers in a lot of different metrics. On the upper, it's super nice and soft, and they also went ahead and added a ton of padding, which you find around the ankle area and the super puffy tongue. That in combination with the really nice soft foam that they added to the midsole just makes these things great walking around. They come in a ton of really cool colorways, no collaborations just yet. It is, again, still a relatively new sneaker, but overall, definitely one of the best everyday shoes that you can get from Nike in terms of comfort. And as for sizing, they fit perfect, true to size. Coming in at number 2, we got the Vomero 18. Now, if you've tried previous versions of the Vomero line, like like the 16s or the 17s. The 18 is basically nothing like that. Even though technically it's the next generation, it's just such a big leap that it's almost an entirely different shoe. The retail on these is $150, a decent amount of colorways to choose from. For that, you're getting a pretty thick stack of dual cushioning in the midsole, a React X with ZoomX. The upper is decently breathable and also nicely padded, like they didn't skimp out on the padding on these things, which combined just makes these things a dream to walk around in, especially because they have a really nice rocker shape. If you're doing a lot of walking, these are great. Now for sizing, I would recommend staying true to size. But coming in at number 1, the Nike Vomero Plus. So essentially what this pair of shoes is everything that I said with the 18s, just slightly better. Somehow, I mean, I didn't think they would be able to pull this off, but somehow they managed to make a more comfortable version of the 18. And how they did this was just essentially making the entire stack of foam underneath your feet ZoomX. Again, Nike's softest foam. But one of the most interesting parts is that the composition of ZoomX does change slightly depending on what pair of shoes Nike is kind of making. And with this one, they engineered it slightly differently. So it's not insanely squishy and marshmallowy underfoot. You do have a little bit more stability. So it's incredibly soft, but not to the point where you lose that stable feeling walking around. Again, these come in a very similar shape to the 18. So again, walking around is a dream. Now for that extra comfort, you are going to pay a little bit more. These retail at $180. And for sizing, they fit true to size, just like the 18s and the Premium and most of the other Nike shoes on this list. But there you have it. Those are the most comfortable shoes that you can buy from Nike. Let me know which one is your favorite from a visual standpoint, unless you've tried them. Don't forget, you can find them all down in the description below. And of course, if you want to check out another video, I'm going to throw one up in the top left-hand corner. Check it out.